kind of still in the topic of like getting started, early motions into an SEO career, qualifications and certificates, programs, how general feelings on that, positive, negative, go from there.
I feel like
I don't care.
Yeah. I don't. I feel like since I don't know, there might be courses in SEO now. I know that Amalia Fowler, for example, teaches marketing. She lives in Canada though, but she talks about teaching SEO and PPC in her classes. So it may be different from when I was in college, but there is no like set course about the basics. And so I feel like lots of people come self-taught. Lots of people I know who are really successful in SEO don't even have college degrees. So I don't think there's any like set certification. It's just sort of like the basic almost personality traits that we've been touching on, like this sense of curiosity and wanting to solve problems and that sort of thing, more than any set certification. And the foundations are the same, but the minutia changes so frequently that I don't know that I would choose any one certification over another for that reason.
Gotcha.
That brings up an interesting point. I was having this kind of discussion. We'll call it a discussion instead of a session with some of the other women in the Women in Tech SEO group. And the conversation was around tests to be an SEO, or tests that companies might give if you're trying to either come to work for them, or agencies that ask you to create campaigns as part of the hiring process. Like, I have my own opinions about that, but I'd like to hear what y'all think.
Don't do work for free. That's my opinion on that. Whether you sign a contract or work like as a freelance for that interview process, I would never advocate for people to do work for free. And on the hiring side, I feel like lots of great SEOs get hired without having to do these weird tests. And it seems like the people who are implementing the tests are often those who don't necessarily know. Like, they don't necessarily know how SEO works. So they're just like, here's a checklist test to prove that, you did the LinkedIn skills requirement thing. So SEO. So now we can hire you. So it just feels like a box they have to check because they don't necessarily know how it works. That's my opinion. I'm very strongly against those.
Unless I'm same. Like, I, especially after interviewing so much recently, I see it a lot more with in-house roles where it is asked, like, and it's always like, I don't know if you can see it, like how dramatically I'm rolling my eyes, but it's like an activity or a challenge. And it's like, a take-home fun activity. No, absolutely, like, hard pass. The obvious solution is you could pay people to do, like, for their time, I think is the best way to do it. But from like the perspective of a candidate too, I understand that that's complicated, because being in a position where you can say no is somewhat of a privilege too. So it always feels sticky. And like, I have done those in the past, but I can say that I never got an offer from like a great company that I was excited to work for that did ask for free work. But from the hiring side, like, you can always pay people for their time, or at the very least, have, like, if you're giving people some kind of like task to do, either pay them or make sure that you're getting their feedback on like a site that isn't theirs, so that work can never be used, if that makes sense. So I've done that before too, but yeah, I say similar feeling. I don't like it. Like, I don't think that if you know how to effectively interview someone for SEO, you shouldn't have to have them do work for you as well, because like, that's the job. And I have been told no by recruiters too, because of that, like, after we've had really good interviews and stuff. But that's kind of a boundary that I personally have set, and I don't regret not doing that anymore.
I'll also say I used to work with someone at CallRail. His name is Pete Holiday, and he wrote a really great article on this, but it came from the developer side. So I think it's very frequent that developers have to do these like take home. They used to be really long, hour-long take home tests. I think a lot of times they do them in person, like whiteboard tests now, but it prioritizes people who have the disposable time to take those. So the people who may really need that job and who may be awesome at it, but have to go home and make dinner and take care of their kids, like they're single parents or they have an elderly parent to take care of, having those disposable time tests mean those people can't take advantage of those job opportunities, even if they'd be really great at it, which is another reason I don't think that I think on the hiring side, you're potentially missing great candidates because you're relying on those who have the free time and who don't need the income for that free time to be able to complete those tests and pass them.
That's a really great point. I would even venture to say that like you're going to get a less diverse pool of prospective employees doing that.
Yeah.
So I think of this not as free work. So what I do is whenever I'm giving a test, I tell them that I don't want the work, right? So I give them choices of things to do. Like I do want them to see an audit, but I tell them I already know the answers and I don't want to use their audit because I want the communication to come through. And I don't want to have them audit like a competitor site because that's really dumb. I just want to see how people think. And one of the things that I found in all my hiring is you want to flesh out like who has that ability to work hard and to figure out solutions and not just like phone it in. And the interview process is where you figure it out. So if I've done this even for like hiring virtual assistants, where you give them a little bit of homework, even if it's like, make it very easy. Can you find me 10 things that are wrong with my site and just put them in an email? As soon as you give them that and they're thinking, oh, that's 20 minutes of free work when I already have told them that's not something I need. I already know the answers and they refuse to do that. That's someone that I don't want working for me. So provided I put that up front that I'm not giving you free work, I want to see how you write, but you do have to put a little bit into it. That's fine. And I think in today's day and age where you don't have to commute to an interview, I think it's fair. I think about all the times like I've flown to interviews and wasted whole days or driven somewhere or you sit in the waiting room and wait an extra 2 hours, like putting in 20 minutes of work to make a slide deck to just put your communication across and make sure that you don't have typos, I think is a fair question.
The line in the sand, perhaps, and maybe it's not so much of a line in the sand, but like a massive wall fortress in the sand. It's like when that is reasonable, I would probably wager, but if you start to ask for like packaged deliverables and like, almost finalized client ready type end products, it's time to pay for some hourly consulting if you're asking for something like that.